Have you ever opened your phone without even thinking? Watched 3 videos in a row, scrolled for 45 minutes, and still felt empty? This isn't just a habit. It's a pattern, a way to avoid something deeper, a feeling we're not ready to face. We keep distracting ourselves from sadness, from boredom, from fear, from truth. We say we're just tired or need a break. But what we really need is silence. Not the silence around us, the silence within us. But silence is uncomfortable because when everything gets quiet, the emotions get loud. That's when the anxiety surfaces, the grief, the loneliness we buried under productivity. So we reach again for screens, noise, work, tasks, anything to keep us from sitting with what we feel. But what happens when all the distractions stop working? What happens when the pain leaks through anyway? This is not a video about quitting social media or being more mindful. It's a mirror, a pause, a quiet invitation to stop running and finally listen. You wake up, check your phone, scroll, swipe, like. You tell yourself, just 5 minutes. But it's not 5, it's 30. Then emails, messages, news. Before your feet even touch the ground, your mind is already full. And that fullness feels like control. It feels like you're doing something, but deep down, you're avoiding something. Maybe it's that vague emptiness you've felt lately, that quiet ache you can't explain. Maybe it's the truth that your job no longer fulfills you, or that your relationship feels distant, or that you feel distant from yourself. Distraction doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's small, subtle, like cleaning the kitchen for the 3rd time, binge watching a show you don't even like, rewriting your to-do list instead of doing the thing that actually matters. It's easier to stay busy than to feel lost, easier to be productive than to sit with pain. So you keep moving, fast enough that your emotions can't catch up. But the truth is, they always do. Emma is 29. She works from home, keeps her calendar full, and always has a podcast playing in the background. She doesn't like silence. She says it makes her overthink, so she fills every gap. Emails over breakfast, music during showers, Netflix until she falls asleep. But one night, the power goes out. No Wi-Fi, no background noise, just stillness. At first, she laughs, lights a candle, scrolls her phone until the battery dies too. Now it's just her and the silence. Then it starts. that tightness in her chest, that strange feeling in her stomach, memories she hasn't thought about in years, questions she's been avoiding, feelings she never named. Emma doesn't cry. She cleans the kitchen, then rearranges the bookshelf, then just sits, not knowing what to do. She doesn't realize it yet, but this is the first time in years she's met herself without distraction, and it terrifies her. How many of us are living like Emma, always moving, always doing, never stopping long enough to feel what's real? Most people don't even realize they're running because it doesn't feel like running. It feels like staying on top of things, being motivated, handling life. But pause for a second and ask yourself this: what am I avoiding when I reach for distraction? Sometimes it's the grief you never processed, the breakup you pretended didn't affect you, the pressure to succeed that makes rest feel unsafe. Other times, it's more subtle, like the fear of being ordinary, or the guilt of not living up to who you thought you'd be by now. Distraction is clever. It disguises itself as self-care, ambition, entertainment. It keeps you just busy enough to avoid the discomfort that comes with honesty. But those feelings, the ones you bury, don't disappear. They wait. They settle into your body. They become tension in your shoulders, a tight jaw, a restless sleep. And eventually, they speak through anxiety, burnout, or that haunting phrase, "I don't even know what I feel anymore." What if the anxiety isn't the enemy? What if it's a signal, a message from something deeper? Because beneath every distraction, there's usually an emotion you haven't given permission to exist. Loneliness, shame, fear, grief. These feelings are uncomfortable, not because they're dangerous, but because we were never taught how to hold them. We were taught to be strong, to move on, to get over it, to stay busy and keep smiling. So instead of feeling, we scroll. Instead of crying, we clean. Instead of asking for help, we work longer hours. But here's the truth. Avoiding your feelings doesn't make them smaller. It just makes them silent. And silence can be loud in its own way. What if you gave yourself just 5 minutes of stillness? No phone, no playlist, just breath, just you. What might come up? What are you afraid you'll feel if everything else goes quiet? That's where the healing starts. Not by fighting the feeling, but by finally letting it speak. Let's say you try it. You sit in silence. You close your eyes. And at first, nothing. Then something stirs. Maybe it's a memory. Maybe it's a wave of sadness that hits you out of nowhere. Maybe it's anger, sharp, unexpected, buried under years of holding back. And your first instinct is to get up, to turn on music, to check your phone, to run. Because feeling feels like failure, like something's wrong with you for not being okay. But that discomfort, that's progress. You're not falling apart. You're unfolding. You're finally listening to the parts of you that have been waiting in the dark. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. That's how healing begins. We think strength means being untouched by emotion. But real strength is staying present when it hurts, not fixing it, not analyzing it, just being with it. There's no shortcut through this, no 5-step plan to avoid the ache. But there is a quiet kind of freedom that comes when you stop running and start feeling fully, gently, without judgment. Even just for a moment, something shifts when you stop distracting yourself. It's subtle at first. You start noticing your breath. You pause before picking up your phone. You sit longer with your morning coffee, not because you're lazy, but because you're present. And then you begin to hear yourself, not the loud inner critic, not the endless to-do list, but something softer, the quiet voice beneath the noise. It might say, "I'm tired. I miss something I can't name. I don't want to keep pretending." These are not signs of weakness. They're signs of reconnection. You're no longer living on autopilot. You're beginning to feel your life again. That can be overwhelming. It can feel messy, raw, uncertain. But it's real. And for many people, real is something they haven't touched in years. You don't need to have the answers. You don't need to fix everything today. You just need to be willing to be with yourself, without running, without numbing, without escaping, even if just for a few breaths at a time. After the discomfort, after the ache of feeling things you've pushed away for years, something unexpected appears. Clarity. Not the kind that comes from coving everything, but the kind that comes from seeing clearly your needs, your limits, your truth. When you're no longer drowning in noise, you begin to notice what actually matters. Which relationships feel safe? Which dreams are truly yours? What drains you? What fills you? And that's where peace begins. Not in controlling life, but in finally aligning with it. You stop reacting to everything. You stop reaching for distraction every 5 minutes. You become more present, more grounded, more you. This peace isn't loud. It doesn't shout or sparkle. It just sits with you. like an old friend you forgot existed. But getting there requires one thing: the courage to sit through the storm, to stop numbing, to stop escaping, to trust that feeling deeply won't destroy you. It will free you. Because the pain was never the problem. It was the silence we refused to give it. You don't have to quit everything. You don't have to delete all your apps or move to the mountains. This is not about becoming a monk. It's about becoming honest. Honest about how often you run, how often you distract, how rarely you feel safe just being. So here's a simple practice, not a rule, not a cure. Once a day, stop for 1 minute. No phone, no noise, no task. Just sit and notice. What do you feel in your body? What emotion is hiding under the surface? What part of you hasn't been heard in a long time? At first, it might be uncomfortable. You might feel restless. That's okay. That's your system detoxing from overstimulation. Don't judge it. Just stay. Just breathe. And maybe tomorrow, sit for 2 minutes. Then 3. Not to accomplish anything, but to remember what it's like to be with yourself without needing to escape. You are not broken. You are just buried under layers of noise, and slowly, gently, you can return. There's a version of you that's been waiting, not the one who performs, pleases, or pushes through, not the one who's always fine, but the one who feels, the one who remembers what matters, the one who breathes slower, speaks softer, and listens deeper. And every time you pause, every time you stop running and simply sit, you take one step closer to that version of you. This isn't easy. In a world that profits from your distraction, presence is rebellion. But it's the kind of rebellion that heals, that brings you back to your body, back to your truth, back to the parts of you that never needed fixing, just attention. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to do it all today. But if you've made it this far, if something in you whispered, "This feels true," then maybe you're already coming home. And maybe that's what you were longing for all along. Not more to do, not more to achieve, just space to feel, to breathe, to be. No distractions, just you.